Hello viewers, I'm SB and welcome back to Humankind, where I think today we're hoping to just end this game, right? We are currently in the lead. That's the optimal state. I am winning is the optimal state for the game to be in. Let's just try to end the game right now, while that is still the state, shall we? I can't imagine, with Pink being in the last era already, it's very hard for me to imagine them catching up to us 1400 fame, especially, like, even honestly, even if we didn't have other stars to earn and more fame income to get, I would think we might be safe. But since we're gonna get this whole next era worth of stars, like, it should be no problem to put this away. And we're definitely looking for mercantile affinity for the next era, because boy, we're gonna tear up those merchant stars very quickly. So, who are we taking on for contemporary? The Australians, obviously, it's a very powerful culture, and we'd be very good at it because we can just buy our way through all of the districts we need. That's a ton of industry, which is very compelling, but I do see that there's proper merchant affinity available. I can't imagine that we're going to want to do anything else. Brazilians, obviously, very powerful stuff. Plus 10% money on all cities is an awesome bonus, especially considering that income from trade is rolled into your city income, so this would affect that as well. Plus 7 money per number of territories is going to be really strong in the second continent cities. Yeah, I mean, this is great. This is great all around. And the Guardian mobile missile platform with 8 range can use the bombard action twice per turn. Criminy. Criminy, what a weapon. I just can't imagine it being relevant, though. It's hard to imagine a situation where the world comes to blows at this point, right? We're all too sort of like economically interdependent, I think. Plus 10 money per number of territories in your sphere of influence is obviously 0 money for us. This is one you definitely want to have already been the influence leader when you take it, so probably not a great fit. We talked about how great the robotics lab is last time. A maker's quarter / research quarter is just like an incredibly powerful thing. Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot of this. Is there only one merchant affinity? Because if so, that makes our decision for us, in my opinion. What do the Egyptians do? Plus 4 influence on your emblematic district. I mean, obviously, that would be a lot of influence for us. Yeah, okay, I think we kind of have to take Chinese here. Like, our money income is so good. We're going to tear through those first 3 era stars and make so much fame. And then, like, Congress is just a great building. The fact that it gives 1 of each type of worker slot on your cities is, like, bananas. Okay, so let us purchase exactly the number of districts that we need. I see they still haven't fixed the fame display bug on the turn you load in. Not that it's a big deal. But so 10. We need 10. And obviously we have a high priority is placed on caravanserai above everything else. So where do we have? Here we go. Any place where we have multiple caravanserai, let's burn through those first. Okay. You know what? Let me put the one that's almost finished at the very back here, because we don't necessarily have to acquire this one this turn, right? It'll get itself done. Oh, right. Clemson was gonna expand down through all this stuff. We're waiting on that to finish. But that region is probably supposed to be owned already. Well, you know what? Save it. We can put that toward potentially like an expansion star or something next era. There's no reason to pick that up right now. Definitely want to buy that out. And here in Sidon, yeah, I'll just buy that too. So we need to just buy 1 other district somewhere. Who's like furthest from getting their thing done? Yeah, alright, doesn't really matter. Okay, and then still doing very well on stability here. We don't really need more worker slots. What's something I can build in a turn? We can just throw in here and then worry about later. Yeah, you know what? Get through that. That'll be fine. Also, over here, I need to build something. Yet we still don't have this. Should probably fix that. And I guess that's good enough for right now. You're gonna have a tremendous amount of industry overflow in this city, and that's fine. We can put that towards something meaningful. So yeah, and then get back to work on three-masted ship, I guess. Why was I on three-masted ship in the first place? I do not remember. I must have put some science into it at some point for a reason. But coal generators are what I really want. We are beyond the point where three-masted ships are are a very sensible upgrade. Okay, let's move into the final era.
The human mind, creative, imaginative, and ingenious at turning every single human invention to its most violent end. We pray or hope, looking forward to a future which, with luck, will be counted in millennia, not in months.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice? All right, so we are racing toward the finest, or the fastest possible completion here, right? We want to get out of the game before anybody has a chance to change the relative order of things. The fastest way out of the game is probably... Wait, was that for real? Wow, okay, yeah, we are going to rip through these stars. I cannot believe how little distance there is between us and that first star. It is entirely possible that the fastest way to do this is going to be a space program again. Just doing the Mars thing. What's up?
How do you do, whoever you are?
Oh, I'm actually getting religious pressure over... Oh yeah, look at that. The dam broke. We're pushing into Purple's territory as well. Gosh, that's a lot. It's just a huge amount of information is the problem. So yeah, at some point we did break the threshold, but I don't really have a good sense of like what the moment was that went over the top. This is like, I think this is a really tough problem for Amplitude, and I do not envy them on this. The underlying math in this system, I think, is just really complicated. It's very hard to express it clearly and cleanly. But cool. I'm glad to know that we did eventually, like, it's good to know that this can actually work. It's not the case that once somebody, like, really solidifies a religious stronghold, they're just impervious. You can, in fact, break in. I don't think it means very much to us at this point. I don't think it helps us, but it's good to know that it can happen. And, you know, if we cared about all of the grievances that this is going to generate, it totally could matter, right? It doesn't to us, but it could. Okay. So, just big bonuses on everything. Bonuses on fewer things. Because right, this one applies to all cities. Or plus 20% money generated from ongoing trade on all cities. Well, at this point, I'm sure 10% all money is more than 20% all trade money. So let's grab that, but we're gonna build this, and then we're gonna just try to build the other one too. Let's see if we can get there fast enough. So let's have a look at our new stars. In addition to the very easy merchant stars, which we're going to get super paid for, apparently we had already had progress on this as well. Two districts gets us the first builder star. We're gonna rip through these. So it is probably not the case that we have any realistic chance of ending the game by getting all 21 of the last era stars, because I think our progress on things like the military star and the aesthete stars are going to be very, very poor. It would take forever to get this, and I don't want to kill anybody at this point. So, science, almost certainly, right? There's a question there about whether it is going to be faster to acquire the space technologies and to build the space program, or to just acquire the endgame technologies, which comes down to like how fast are you at building things. I think we should be okay to just build out. Probably. So I think that's going to be the plan. We're going to pick up electricity because obviously we want coal generators. We're doing very well on coal. And then we will probably just push forward and get the aluminum version of that thing. Right? Isn't that yes, power lines. Okay. And then, you know, space program stuff. I do think it's worth getting the coal generators, though. You certainly exist for a reason. Oh, right, yes. This island is that reason. Right. I remember now. We need to actually gain control of these regions because we care about the resources that are within. Yep, and we have another knight who's already running off to the other thing. Okay, I remember. So, we were going to attach this, then attach that. And then... So there's a question whether, like, Aksum or Tlemcen gets this because of the way it's going to kind of cut things off. And we can probably do this one there. And hey, look at that. A star. A star was born. Okay. And before we go doing anything else, does it matter where we put this? This is a holy site and it is generating faith, so I suppose it makes the most sense to do it on a mountain somewhere around here, like this one. Just really keep pushing, but also, you know, in a very real sense, this is going to be irrelevant. I am, in fact, going to finally upgrade you to a real unit. So we can't get across to here using a land unit, though. Right? We don't have the right technology. I get in the water and you become a transport galley. Yeah, okay, hold on a second. Was three-masted ship a thing I was working on because this is a better transport? Yeah, maybe. Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be that, right? Where's the next version of that thing? Where's the next upgraded transport ship? There's got to be one around here somewhere. What looks like a boat? Here we go, landing craft. So it's pretty far forward, actually. Well, whatever. Get me my electricity. We'll figure it out. We'll worry about it later. Oh, right. I was going to connect this region as well. And to be perfectly honest, I don't think you guys have anything to do. I don't think there's any reason for you to go anywhere. For the moment, just go back to sleep, I suppose. Yeah, work on this for the moment. You also work on this for the moment. In Aksum, we're working on it. Here, let's go ahead and buy that out. We should definitely also get access to this stuff and then get to work on you. Do we have any other... No, there's no acquirables in Naus. Okay. Cahokia has the aluminum that we can't grab yet. Alright, I don't think there's any particular reason for us to spend money on this stuff. Because it's all, we're talking about like fractions of turns anyway, right? Although also, what else am I spending the money on, I suppose? Okay, yeah, you're going to be fine. Actually, no, you're not going to be fine. I ran it over here assuming that it would navigate in a way that makes sense, and it kind of didn't. Okay, well that's a bummer, because it's not going to survive to make it to land, to make it to the shallows, right? It's going to die at the end of this turn. I am not interested in your civic osmosis. Technological osmosis, on the other hand, big fan. And we get a lot of that around here. Hell yeah, the scientific method. There you go. That's what we're saving all the money for. Okay, people continue to buy access to our stuff.
Most glorious.
There we go.
Yes.
Pink has completely given up on the idea of ever, like, directly challenging me,
Something to make her gladly.
which makes total sense. They would not survive the attempt. And I guess you kind of do just wait here until I have better technology. I apologize that probably does not feel very compelling. All right, let's get ourselves a wonder, shall we? And at this point, our empire is so built up and so powerful that we can kind of do whatever we want. This does not have to be built anywhere in particular. We're going to build it in Constantinopolis. That's what I've arbitrarily decided. It goes right here. Yep, that's where you live for the moment. Everybody throw in on this other building, and then we'll get to districts. We'll get there. An unusual wave of sickness has broken out in the overcrowded metropolis of Byblos. The origin of the illness is unknown. It's bad, though. Potentially pollution-based. So we can quarantine, do preventive measures. It doesn't actually change which part of the bar that we are in at this point. It's interesting to note that we started making headway on the religious conversion thing after we lost our big faith bonus. So I am really curious. It may just be the case that, like, values have been building up for a long time, that we were always trending toward overtaking them. It's just taken a long while to catch up with the actual number. Or we can wait, which modifies the social axis toward tradition and also is tremendously ineffective. I'll say this: the game, the game definitely has a certain point of view that it is, I would argue, more or less correctly pushing. I've been thinking about this a little bit. These meters here. I said in a previous video that I feel like Endless Space 2 is the only game that has really put much effort into modeling sort of like the character of your population and how your decisions affect, about how leadership's decisions affecting the character of the population then affects the things that are politically possible in that society. And this system does not feel to me like it's reflective of the population. This system feels to me like it's reflective of the character of the government. And I've been trying to figure out why that is. These two systems that are they're not meaningfully hugely different, like in terms of mechanical meaning, I mean. Why do they seem so representationally different to me? And I don't really have an answer right now. They do seem different, but I don't know why I feel that way. It's a thing I'm going to keep mulling over. Anyway, I think we're going to go ahead and take the quarantine thing, because scientific investing is... I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, I think this choice is almost irrelevant. Outside of whatever negative consequences come from the... potentially come from the stupid option. The objectively wrong, both morally and in terms of actual effectiveness option. So yeah, let's just go ahead and run this out. Yes, always happy to see that it's a scientific osmosis. Although, pretty bummed out that that one did not offer me an entire technology. So the next one's at 766, which we are hurtling toward, just barreling toward with incredible speed. Science stars, maybe hard to come by. We'd need 5 more regions for the expansionist star. That's probably not happening. Right, 1, 2... I'm not going to fight for all of this land down here, most of which is like valueless. So yeah, we got the expansionist star we're getting. Okay, you need to just make it across to here. And it kind of doesn't matter where over here you make it to. So we got some cultural conversions, we got some religious conversions. People buy in more access to resources, as you might imagine. And at this point, so many of our like real meaningful decisions are handled already. Okay, electricity. We can buy off the last bit of electricity for trivial dollars. This we will simply refuse. Who is overculturing me over here? Is this it's got to be just Pink, right? Because that's one that we have seen from Pink before. Yeah. It does look like we've got sort of like a stronghold here. There's a little bit of a holdout thing going on around Constantinopolis, which has a truly huge number of emblematic districts, and as such is producing way more influence than a lot of my my other areas. All right, let's just go ahead and grab 3-masted ship. Ignores penalties from deep water. Like, we'll get that in one, and then we'll be able to move the knight over and hopefully finish mapping the continent for the purposes of that fame award that we don't terribly need. People moving up into the industrial era, good for them. Lots of alliances going on. It's all good fun. What's up?
Do something clever today.
Sure.
I like you.
Oh, right. Yeah. Disability access, probably like a pretty important thing. We can improve accessibility and safety only in hotspots. Feels like just do the wrong thing on purpose just so that you can do the wrong thing. Like a lot of the economic access toward individualism or bottom access toward tradition choices that are offered to you in the narrative parts are very like fable type choices where it's like one of these things is obviously good and one of these things is cartoonishly evil. Do you click the button that says kick puppies just so that we can pretend there was a moral choice here? Science investing seems fine. Parsimonious also seems fine. All of this stuff is kind of whatever. At this point, we may as well let that axis drift that way. It is better for the speed of our ending the game. All right, we probably want access to aluminum next. Okay, very welcome. Just a quick 2300 science. Not quite a turn's worth, a little over half of a turn's worth, but yeah, still useful, still helpful. War support everywhere is low because we do not like to do war. I guess technically it would be better to put the outpost down over there, but also I don't care that much. We'll Hamlet over there. That's how we'll deal with that. No, you just come back to the mainland. And you over here probably want to put this down. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, in the crook of the little body of water. Okay. And then you similarly just come home. We'll have you hang out in Cahokia. And is that the third merchant star? Yes, we are already on the third merchant star. We're going to get it while it's still 350 fame. So the distance between us and Pink is increasing rapidly. I'm kind of surprised they only have one final era star. Like, I don't mean to come across as judgmental or anything, but, you know, they're not doing, like, great work over there. Well, I mean, we're going to claim the other wonder, right? I see no reason not to. So it's got to go on the coast or in a lake. You can build it in a lake. I'm going to build it in this lake. That's how we're going to get down. The Great Landlocked Nautical Opera House. Why build it in the lake instead of on the dry land next to the lake, which is undeveloped? It's because we can, basically. That's really all that's underlying that decision. Oh, right. Sorry. Now that this has happened, we actually are allowed to... I can move you out here and you won't die horribly. So we probably need to reveal, like, these tiles down here, right? At least. These tiles are the only thing that makes sense to me as the thing that is blocking our access to the mapping achievement for this land body. If this doesn't do it, I don't know what will, honestly. Okay. That connected very quickly. Let's go ahead and throw all that stuff in the queue. If I pull this back to here... Okay, yeah, it all gets done in one. That seems very sensible. It does seem like there's some kind of hostility going on over there on that continent, because I'm getting a lot of pings for like, hey, we should move units here. Are red and purple at war?
Are you wine or are you vinegar?
You know, I've never heard that question phrased in quite that way before.
Yes, greetings. I hope you don't mind if I stare.
Out of curiosity.
You intrigue me.
Aw.
Let's talk.
I'm just curious. I'm just curious if you can get allied with everyone. No, that's right. You can't. It's so weird that you can't drag the top item in the queue downward. You have to drag other stuff upward to dislodge it. So we have our first builder star already. Once we're finished with this, we're going to burn through a lot of builder stars really quickly. But like also in a very real sense, there's not really much reason for me to construct my my emblematic districts anymore, because they aren't going to do the one thing that we really need. Okay, those have been revealed. Your prolific industries are a source of great pride, the fruits of their labors bringing many delights and improvements. However, the advent of factories can also, though they can be great temples of production, a phrase that makes me feel a little gross just to say out loud, also casts a smoggy shadow. I do believe that our workers, human beings, are our most valuable asset. I don't even really like phrasing it this way. Or the remorseless pursuit of profit is the only winning strategy as long as you use a very constrained definition of winning. At this point, money doesn't do that much for us anymore, right? Because we just hit our last era star. So, that said, this isn't a huge thing for us either. Like, boy oh boy, do we not need stability. Absolutely. Wireless telegraphy. I don't actually know how you would emphasize that. Doesn't do much for me, but it is a technology. And at this point, that's all it takes. Black, are you trying to get me to attack you? Maybe that's a really old pin, because that's the tile that used to have the independent people spawn on it, didn't it? I don't know. Okay, we sure have made a lot of money, it turns out. I don't know if, like, for diplomatic reasons, should I be formally forgiving the grievances that we have on Pink for religious reasons, or is it okay to just completely ignore them? I don't know. It probably doesn't matter very much at this point. The great metropolis of Sidon is a finely honed, gleaming machine of productivity, but this output is coming at a very human cost. Cases of depression at some of the city's most iconic workplaces, oof, boy, what a phrase, has been blamed on management pressure and brought the subject of overwork to public attention. Since the city reflects life across the empire, many call for a better work-life balance. So we have a responsibility to protect workers from exploitative bosses. Forces that workers' rights choice. Or we could just work people harder, which is not going to have any effect at all. It's just gonna produce industry. Nothing could ever come from this whatsoever. I mean, again, at this point, the extra money from being in this part of the bar is not really meaningful anymore. So I guess I'll just go ahead and take that side of the thing. You know, we've done so much evil at this point. You can only get so wet, right? So we're about to be out of wonders. And it's all been very good fame. I am refusing. I guess just come home. You did the thing, friend. I don't know why you have to go home through other people's territory, but whatever, it's fine. Religious community participation has been waning for years as the Empire's cultural strength grows, and now is the right time to remove religious authority from political power. Okay, we had talked about this event a little bit. See, I think this kind of stuff is really interesting. In a lot of 4X games, you just kind of like hold on to the buildup of these early game systems, even though there is a very clear split in the way that like concerns are modeled for most 4X games between sort of like what they view as the pre-modern world and what they view as the modern world. And Civilization has like a very, very, very light version of this idea in that like after a certain point religious pressure stops affecting things very much, and like religious victories are really only an early to early mid game kind of thing. But I like this a lot better, where like this civic can kick back your entire state religion, which is interesting. You become immune to religious grievances, but you just like that whole system of the game is gone. Or replace the current state religion with atheism. Lose the ability to pick holy sites and tenets. All religious civics are locked, and some of the invested influence is refunded. I mean, I think for the moment, what we do is we do not take on irreligion. We simply press the remain religious button, which is it's an interesting button for a game to have. Not a lot of video games do that. Okay, so we have access to aluminum in some places, and we are going to need that aluminum for our science thing. We don't really need uranium, right? I don't think. Let me just make sure we get all that. Is that... How did I just not click on that? So we could expand out here and get more of that if we cared. I don't really think I do. And then over here we had access to, yeah, there it is. A little bit more aluminum. And we have quite a lot of uranium, actually. So that's not even the right button. Here we go. So let's talk about going to space. Computing has interesting resource prerequisites. Everybody knows you need uranium to make computers. So where's the actual space stuff? Communication satellite. There's your geosynchronous. It's that plus Space station plus... That can't be it, right? Okay, so this one requires an oil. This one's going to require aluminum. I knew that. I thought there was a third piece of it, though. Maybe I'm wrong. Well, let's get these two, and then it will probably become clear pretty rapidly what I am missing when we try to start launches. Yeah, we'll take that on. That'll do for the moment. So, I suppose the time has come to build a whole lot of things. Airports allow air trade, but also produce a ton of pollution. Do we have any sense what the danger, right now we're pollution level 0, and it's not super clear to me what, a dangerous level of pollution looks like. I would perhaps benefit from knowing such a thing. So the nature reserve lets you exploit the whole resource value of the tile, and you can put it anywhere. That's pretty handy. And then, yeah, I just commit a whole bunch of these to the board. May as well emblemat my emblematic districts. And then, science buildings, I guess? I mean, realistically, I should just buy every science building, right? That's the thing that matters to us right now, right this second, is get all your science. And it makes sense to save the money if we can buy science with it via osmosis. But it seems like at this point, our osmosis is mostly coming in the form of little sort of neutral science boosts. For the reason that we probably are not completely outpaced by the other players anymore, especially not by Pink. So let's just go ahead and buy lots of infrastructure. Every city's going to need to build some things. Where do we... Oh, right, yeah, sure. Hamlet over here, I suppose. Don't have a hamlet here. Anywhere I built it would be kind of bad. Yeah, do that. We did just pick up some new territory, so... We're setting up a sort of a long-term set of build orders, right? Because we don't necessarily intend to do a lot of things in depth with these cities after this. It is pretty much just going to be waiting for the tech to come. So... Could I have done this first, before laying out the hamlets, and thus not had to do all the dragging? Yeah. Yeah, I suppose. Who are you? The clicking efficiency police? Alright, so that's all the science that we're getting out of that. And then we do have one new region. Never mind. Apparently more than one new region. I just never built a hamlet down here? Weird. Okay, so... I do feel like this empire as a whole ended up way more powerful than the last one, even though we were playing on a lower difficulty there. I mean, I guess a lot of that is just that, I know how to play the game marginally better now. At least we would hope. We're going to have so many emblematic districts. I don't even know if it's, really keeping count of this. God, the thing is worth so much money. It's a shame we don't need it. Alright, don't really care about the grievances. All of that stuff can wait. Man, building all the way into the corner is the best we can do with that, really. We'll do that because it's a little bit better for building future markets, although we may never build any future markets. Do you have all of your science infrastructure? You do not. Although you would certainly have built through it pretty quickly. These cities are going to be so absurdly productive. I'm kind of interested to see what the graphs are going to look like at the end of this game. So I wonder, is there a way to set an empire-wide population strategy? I bet there isn't, but there probably should be, right? And I am 100% at this point, just letting the game do the very basic math and tell me where to settle, because although we have seen in the past, it is usually possible to optimize, especially around future plans, and produce a better outcome than the game does. At this point, I am not convinced that the amount of gain would be worth expending the time. We are not in a place where we need to be scraping every little bit of value. Although, obviously, if we did scrape every little bit of value, it would end up making those graphs look slightly more impressive. And I do love an impressive graph. I'm not going to pretend that I don't. Yeah, this is going to be the same no matter where we put it. Okay. Is it the good kind? It is not. Lots of alliances and stuff. Look at how cool our opera house looks. As soon as I get all this stuff out of the way. Yeah, look at all that. I will absolutely take microbiology. Seems fine. Minus 20% population consumption is going to mean the population in all of our cities is going to just explode. All of a sudden, we are so far above the amount needed for growth. Simultaneously, close to a defeat and close to a war victory. Is there any better description of what an alliance truly is? Founding cities across your continent is a challenging endeavor, still much simpler than founding them on foreign shores. One thing that I always think is interesting is the way that the developers choose to try to apply the real-world timeline to the events in a historically themed game. Because I don't know whether this event is coming up because it is turn 171 and the developers are like, that's approximately equivalent to 910 CE, or if this is coming up because of something we did. It almost has to be the former, right? Because if it was triggered by my actions, this would have happened 100 turns ago. And this is all about captured cities. We're never gonna... Doesn't seem terribly relevant. And I could at this point spend a whole bunch of money to optimize the rate of fame income from our cities, or from our stars. Right, how far are we from that other builder star? Yeah, we could push through this turn, I suppose. Probably. But also, we're probably talking about like a couple of fame, and I don't know that it's worth the clicking. I will continue to defy Pink's cultural values. Oh man, stuff's happening. Ah, yes. Red declared war on purple. That's a pretty big deal. A lot of trade routes getting halted on that one. Not my own direct trade, obviously, but other people do not have necessarily the ability to trade during war that we have. Also, I appreciate the detailed tooltips in this game. I really like that they do their best to show you the math all the time. But boy, it sure does make it hard to see sometimes. I don't know how you would solve that. Lower the opacity on the tooltip, maybe? It seems like a clumsy solution. All right. Got ourselves just a tiny bit of rocket science. Urban planning, sure. The cost of the Commons Quarter has gone down. Neat. So at this point, definitely want to build a space station, but we got to do it away from civilization. Is there a district already? So the entirety of the thing has to be within my borders, and there have to be no districts within the construction area. So we need some of this land over here. Yeah, like that. Everybody can pitch in on this and get that done very, very quickly, and then we can move up to communication satellites next. Automated factories. And I mean, I know that there's some narrative events associated with this stuff as well. All right. Built the first space station. A giant leap for mankind. Something cool? All right. Trade routes blocked. So many trade routes blocked and, geez, and destroyed. I mean, we still have lots and lots of trade, obviously. Okay, yeah, so the climate change. The climate change is occurring. We are still at pollution level 0. I really wish that there were thresholds on this. Interesting. Black is actually polluting more than pink. They got a later start, but they will eventually overtake pink. So we can invest science in researching this stuff. We could just continue to produce while saying poppycock. Worth noting, not a thing that the good guy in the situation generally says. Or we can order our factories to devise cleaner methods of operation and just get 800 immediate science, but lose some industry in like a way that doesn't matter at all. And it canceled our plus industry. All right, sorry about the jump cut there. The power went out in my house on account of it is raining outside, and that's all it takes. I can tell you right now, the infrastructure in this area, not really ready for climate change. We're pretty well protected, where we are from, you know, far from the coasts and everything. But stuff's gonna get worse before it gets better. That's for damn sure. So anyway, where was I at? What were we doing? Okay, I had not gotten the lunar lander placed. It looks like. So we're just gonna build it over here. This seems like a fine spot. And then we're gonna run around and we're gonna put all the cities on it. And I guess like that really should be all the cities, right? This other stuff will get done. I really do I think it's a big mistake for the city banners to not show what they're building at this size. Like, I would argue that that's far more relevant information than the level of fortification value that the city currently has. I'm hoping that the game's UI is going to get there. It looks really good, but it doesn't quite have the level of usefulness that I'm used to from Amplitude. This is usually an area where I feel like they do a really great job, so I'm hopeful. Okay, that is actually all of the cities. They probably want you to use this thing more, but like, that's tough once you're beyond about 3 cities because you can't see them all. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I should be using the cities window more. Okay, so we had, yes. Make the choice that gives us science, because science is the only thing that matters anymore. And the whole Empire and probably most of the world are watching with the wrong form of bated breath as an astronaut under your great flag glides out of the newly constructed space station. At this point, again... Well, I mean, right now, is it maybe the case that industry is the only thing that matters? Do we need to build more than these 2 things? I think we do. But I guess industry, turns out it didn't, that change did not actually make a difference to the number of turns on this build. What am I even researching right now? Oh no, okay, I am still working on a critically important thing. With great fanfare, your empire announces its intent to conquer one of humanity's most ancient foes, the moon. Because let's be honest, we all hate the moon. You know we all hate the moon. None of these do anything, so... This one probably has a negative event attached to it, and I see no reason to bait that. We'll just do the thing that I guess makes sense for the character of our nation so far, and take the money. Alright, so now we know about communication satellites. So, okay, the Mars colony does in fact require uranium. Alright, I did not remember that, but this is the one that actually ends the game, right? So the second technology isn't even required. All you actually have to do is get that first tech and then build the 3 escalatingly expensive and resource expensive versions of this project. So it's an oil, then an aluminum, then a uranium cost. Okay. Well, we're going to need uranium enrichment then. And in the meantime, we can do these smaller launches. Right, I can't imagine that anybody else has uranium tech. Pink would be the only one. I mean, let's see howdy.
Perhaps we have some common ground.
Okay, no, you have not figured out your uranium stuff. You do have an oil deposit that I don't have access to yet. Obviously unacceptable. Yeah, and everybody just keep building districts or whatever in the meantime. I wonder if the space projects count as districts for the purpose of your builder star. I presume we're waiting on the effects of the war here. Yep, the war players are taking their time. There will be no hiding from us now that the world's first satellite is in orbit. I don't love the way, like, almost any culture is going to make this feel a little weird. Again, real world cultures, just like way worse to use than fantasy cultures for your video game. I will say this though, like, with the design they wanted to do here, where you're building a single civilization out of 7 cultural pieces from across a bunch of different selections, this would be a pain to do with fantasy cultures, because you'd have to invent, you'd have to invent 70 new factions and civilizations. It's not necessarily a reasonable task. All right, so y'all work on this thing, which is not actually very important, while we let the scientists do their thing. All right, and science keeps pouring in across the borders. Wait, that was not this event? Nope, this event was over here. Civil engineering. You know what? Sure. I should have just taken the raw science. More trade routes getting messed up. Oh, temporarily at least. Just getting halted rather than destroyed. Although, again, at this point, money has little to no value. You can't just money your way through these projects anyway. Okay, yes, the builder star that we are getting in a moment here is the last one anyway. We're going to get through this star pretty quickly as well. So pink is up to 4 stars. Obviously, they are not really doing a great job of closing the gap here. We do have our Research Institute, which is good because we were very short on fame. All right, we've completed a planetary observation satellite. I'm assuming, yeah, I was going to say, I assume that there is one more satellite that will complete our vision, but it will cost uranium. And indeed, it also costs quite a bit, or requires rather, quite a bit of aluminum, which we do not have. Provides vision over 333% of the map's latitudes. Yeah, okay. That's they just wanted there to be a lot of 3s on this. That's fine. That's not meaningfully different from the thing that it does actually do. And then, yeah, honestly, I don't know what to tell you to do, friend. Build me an aeroport. Let's get an airport going. Let's build some airports. We'll have some air trade routes available. So wait, is this... Okay, this thing itself produces money from adjacent market quarters. That said, I'm going to do this here. We'll build a real market quarter there. I don't really have anything else to do for the moment. It actually, sorry, that feels silly. We should put this here, and then in the same way, this is really a location that makes more sense to build a real market quarter. All right, well, we're going to have all of these interconnections and trade routes and everything. It's going to be so easy to get from one part of the empire to another. That they have been a part of your empire for generations, the people of Constantinopolis have their own distinct culture and traditions, a fact that over the years has sparked both celebration and dissonance. Recently, some of the city's more educated have begun speaking out in favor of representative government. Modern times have brought a hunger for new ideas in leadership, and some of the most brazen dissidents even label you a colonialist. That's just accurate. Who has purposely kept their people oppressed. Okay, also, you know, accurate-ish. First, depends on how you define oppressed a little bit. You know you're not in the right place in an argument when you're like, yeah, but what do we mean by oppressed? So, I do think that it would be okay for them to be led by people they recognize as their own. Change can be expensive, not really, apparently, but it is the right thing to do. I feel like you gotta dial this number way the hell up if the idea you're trying to get across is change can be expensive. Because, like, for nobody, at this point in the game, is 200 going to be a lot. But sure, yeah. Representative government, fine by me. Can we please focus on the science? That's the thing that really matters here. Yes, got it down to 1. Very good news. I refuse. Got another... Nope, this is that osmosis event. We continue to make sales. And we are, in fact, going to pull that first aesthete star. 2 technologies off of this. I mean, we can certainly make this happen, right? Won't be a problem at all. Here, work on food tech. All right, so let's go buy ourselves some uranium.
Going nowhere. I like you.
First things first, yes, there is uranium over here. This city really has turned out to be like the most important city in the empire by a huge margin on a number of occasions. And then over here we had a couple as well. Okay, there we go. The Mars colony, the last big critical thing. So, here we go. Nope, that's... I'm allowed to just build it over top of... Well, that doesn't... It feels like we should leave that there, though, right? It's an important historical marker for our civilization or whatever. Boy, maybe I have to, though, because I am somewhat pressed for areas that are this large inside of my borders. I mean, it's fine, I guess. Wait, does this really not fit? What? Oh, yeah, okay. Here we have... Part of the problem is that there's too damn many luxury resource extractors. Okay, so let's have everybody kick in on this. It turns out this is it. This is the thing that matters. Who's not contributing? That was not enough cities. Here, just buy you that. And okay. All right, now I think we're all in. So, technologies. Nuclear fission, you know, you can see how that might be useful. Let's grab military architecture. Guilds would be fun. We're just gonna throw some lower cost technologies into the thing here. All right. How many techs do we need for a science star? I don't know. 1 plus whatever. Like, we'll see if we can pull that second star by the time we're done here. We are also definitely going to get that third agrarian star very shortly. Or right now. Or perhaps right the hell now. Absolutely. Power lines is a great technology. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I expect our population's going to be sort of shooting through the roof at this point. Okay, that was nice of them. Even more trade routes temporarily halted. 11 more technologies. Okay, that does seem maybe unrealistic. That said, we are we are moving through these quickly. So at this point, we have no more things to do, no more decisions to make. Our cities are large and, you know, fairly visually impressive. Wow. It's a pretty good price. And that's not even really the biggest one, right? Like, Tlumkin at this point is sort of mid-size, although it's tough because, like, if you look at Byblos, it doesn't necessarily look huge by itself, but that's because it's sort of like the districts that we built in Byblos are sort of spread over several different regions. But, you know, like, this is kind of cool. It's kind of cool that it works this way because I think that this mimics real-world development a little bit better. Like, I live in an area that is all urban sprawl, but it's not all one city, you know, and there are little gaps and there are places where there's like 10 minutes of undeveloped land in between two hubs of things. So all right, so this is the part where we get the button, right? We get the button that says end the game or don't end the game. And obviously we will be pressing end the game. Of course, give me more science. I love flintlocks. Yep, let's go ahead and just call it there. We are in the lead, and as such, I think we should win. And all y'all, I don't know, man. Everybody just build a food infrastructure or something. Sure, you get barns. That's a hot new technology. What if there were barns for the animals? You can grab this. You can also learn about grain silos. Here in the year 1150 CE, after placing a colony on Mars, our civilization got really into grain silos. We become death. I mean, it's a little strong. A letter from one of your most eminent scientists warns that the specter of nuclear holocaust has been unleashed on the world. Citing an extremely reliable source, they make clear that a rival empire has developed nuclear technology that might herald a new atomic age and weapons of mass destruction. This is a little unclear. Has a rival developed nuclear technology that might herald a new atomic age and also has developed weapons of mass destruction? Or is it nuclear technology that might herald a new atomic age and weapons? Because it's pretty different. Whether or not they already have the nukes matters a lot, I think. I'm just going to go ahead and, because they are giving me the ability to trade money for a technology, I'm going to do that, obviously. Because, like, why would you ever not do that? We have well over $1 million. Technology, or pollution still level 0. It feels like an awful lot of pollution must have to get produced in order for it to like begin having meaningful effects. I don't have any idea what the extent of that system is, but I think this is a good time to just go ahead and take our victory lap. All right, this is your last turn. You will be remembered as SB, mythical ruler of the Chinese. See, this is kind of whack because, like, we've only been the Chinese for a tiny portion of our history. Like, I think this gives too much primacy to the final cultural decision you made, when in many ways that's probably the one that has had the least effect on your game, right? Give me that. How close did we get, I wonder? We're just not powering through it the way we needed to. We just learned about military coordination. Yeah, we still needed 4 more. Ah, well. What are you going to do? I'll tell you what you're going to do. You're going to research even better you're going to build even better silos. You know how we feel about silos. I feel like I learned something about silos the other day. I didn't realize that silos just like catch fire and or explode kind of on their own, grain silos. Like enough grain dust gets in the air and it just creates an explosion hazard without really needing a lot of other factors. Sure, charcoal, why not? You can always tell grains were dangerous. If you looked at them growing in a field, you'd be like, somehow this is going to be what's killing me. But I always assumed it was like a nutritional hazard that they posed. Anyway. It's a weird achievement to be earning at this moment. This is a little awkward because I think most of the cities in our empire are much more impressive when viewed vertically. They should have rotated the map 90 degrees. I don't even know whose stuff this is. Is this pink? Okay, there's some of my stuff. There we go. Slow vertical pan. That's how you really get it. It feels like there should be some narration or something happening here. Maybe a cinematic. Did I break this? Is this broken? Oh, right. I turned the narrator off. I wonder if it was doing that, like... But there still would have been subtitles for what he should have been saying, right? Or at least there certainly should have been subtitles for what he should have been saying. And, you know, it's going to tell you that this is the era where we earned the most fame, but, like, not really, right? This is the era where all of our investments got cashed in. So yeah, I feel like that dollars strategy obviously works out very well. You can very easily get to a point where I think it's really interesting that they've made money more versatile in this game by giving it a more direct conversion to science, but that requires you to like maintain to some degree like a functional relationship with your neighbors and stuff. That's a really cool way to give it a higher value than it has in like Civ or whatnot. This thing might be broken too. It feels like it should be moving forward. You know, it's fine. Take me to the graphs. This whole thing is busted. Yeah, I think it's a good design. I think a lot of the shapes of the systems here are just a lot better than they are in many other historical type 4Xs. Certainly, you know, don't listen. I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but I think like basically every system in this game is considerably better designed than the same system in Civ. That said, I just don't, historical is like, I think there are a lot of really good logistical reasons that historical theming is just kind of like a bad idea. And then on top of that, I also find it much less engaging. So yeah, as you might imagine, we're like outnumbering the enemies in most in most ways. What is the highest money per turn output that any other player had? Is this going to be in the neighborhood of like 3K? Right? Because like the halfway line would be somewhere around here probably. That was a very not straight horizontal line. But this is wild. It's crazy to me that nobody was in any of this space. Also, we did not spend very much time in Era 5. Yeah, eventually we did surpass Pink in science, but not until we were in the actual final era. I mean, there was this little spike here, and we never got close to them on influence. So see, like this, I felt like our influence output was gaining and gaining and gaining, and yet we were never ever making headway against Pink. And I was sort of wondering if it is the case that Pink was continuing to over output us, or if it was that due to early game high difficulty bonuses, Pink had built up this huge value and we just hadn't managed to plow through it yet. But no, now we see Pink was always over accumulating us, which is actually pretty impressive. It's a shame they weren't able to convert that into more directly into fame. Probably if you're doing the influence thing and you want to convert your influence into fame, a big part of it probably is following through on those "you're oppressing my people" grievances, because you're gonna need to choke out other players and you're gonna need to take territory and just like overproduce everybody in that way. Also, we were outpopulationed by Pink for the vast majority of the game as well. That's actually really interesting. Red's religion, even more powerful than our own. I would love to know what happened to Blue. What is this? What does that represent? This is also interesting. So wait, where was Black on the science lines? Not very impressive. I wonder how... Maybe Black had a lot of trade going with Pink early on, and so this is like, that's how they continued to push past. That's really interesting. Trade, of course, pretty good for us. Not bad for Pink either. Pink got a lot of stuff out there. Our military strength, remarkably, I mean, very stable, obviously, but like remarkably not that much lower than most of the other players. And this is just a raw representation of number of cities. So I mean, you can see like this is where we won, right? This is what did it. But I'm really surprised to see how low, I didn't spend a lot of time looking at the other continent. I'm really surprised to see how low the total number of cities in most of the other empires was. I guess, you know, they got very little room to play with on that third continent, so where would they have put them? I think that a game where the AI, a game where you do the New World thing and the AI, and an AI or two successfully expands to the New World continent would definitely be interesting. But like the presence of a New World continent is so swingy, because like whoever gets there first just wins the game. Unless like if two people get there at approximately the same time, then maybe there's an interesting struggle between those two. But things would have to be like, the fight over the continent would have to be incredibly disastrous to prevent one of them from winning, right? Like, I don't know. Maybe it's not a great game setting. Maybe we should try playing without it, is what I'm thinking. So Pink was the only player who even made it into Era 6, right? Yeah, we had plenty of people get to 5, including people who were like basically choked out of the game. I'm surprised to see Yellow having made it to Era 5, although obviously quite low on most of the graphs. But yeah, nobody else was even close to putting together the number of stars that we had. I do wish that this had a better like total stars earned, fame, average fame per star breakdown. I think would be really interesting to see. I assume we had the most fame per star. And then on top of that, it had the most stars. Because, right, we're like 50% above everybody else. But I think there's probably some interesting strategic information to be gained there about like how quickly you should move up from an era. To what degree is it worth sticking around? Especially if you can sort of like switch on a secondary engine. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's going to be it for us for today. Thank you all so much for watching. Sorry about the weird break in the middle. When you come back next time tomorrow, there might not be another Humankind. I'm considering maybe we take a little break here. Because there's a lot of stuff all of a sudden that I want to try to get to. I'm already, maybe this is a little premature, but I'm already thinking about like what my Game of the Year video is going to look like. And so I kind of want to like dig into a whole bunch of things just so that we're informed for when that comes around. We can let a couple of patches happen to Humankind and then come back and check it out. I'm trying not to just be like, video game has historical theming and so I am bored. And like, again, I do think that this is more compelling than any Civilization game has been, but I do think the historical theming's a real bummer. I feel dumb when I say it. It makes me feel dumb. All right. That's going to be it for us for today. Like I said, tomorrow there may not be a Humankind. We may take a little break on this, go check out some other weird stuff, and then we'll come back to it later. So thank you all so much for watching. And I guess, you know what, if you got strong feelings about that, if you really want to see more Humankind, and you have like an idea of a thing we should try, map settings that we could tweak, different AIs that we could play against, you know, whatever you think would make the most compelling continuation for the series, go ahead and leave that in the comments, and I'll read those, and I'll come to a decision. I am not, as you can tell, I am not very firmly on one side of this or the other yet. Yeah, so I'm going to stop talking now. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.